We are back now with President Obama's former national security advisor and UN ambassador, Susan Rice. She had planned to join us to discuss her new book, Tough Love, My Story of the Things Worth Fighting For. We do hope to get to that as well, but it is just such tremendous news this morning. Madam Ambassador, thank you for joining us. You were part of the administration at the moment the U.S. first took military action against ISIS. What is your reaction to the death of al-Baghdadi?
Well, obviously it's a major milestone, and it's one that we all should be welcoming, quite plainly. But it doesn't mean that the fight against ISIS is over, and it doesn't mean that we can declare mission accomplished and just walk away. What we've seen time and time again in this part of the world is that when the pressure is relieved on terrorist organizations, whether al-Qaeda or ISIS, they are able to reconstitute. So we need to be vigilant. We need to maintain a minimal presence in order to ensure that the pressure stays on ISIS and they don't come back roaring.
It is pouring rain out there. Right behind you.
I was standing in the pouring rain just a second ago, yes.
Well, I appreciate your bravery through that, coming out on we're on the roof of Jones Day here in Washington, bringing you Face the Nation. But back to the issue at hand, do you know, was President Obama informed of the death of al-Baghdadi by the administration? Did you know before the news today?
No, there's no reason why I should know. There is a tradition of common courtesy of presidents informing their predecessors of things of significance like this. Since the White House seemingly didn't feel it necessary to inform the leadership of the intelligence committees on a bipartisan basis, I'm quite confident that they didn't do the normal protocol with respect to predecessors either.
And during the Obama administration, when, say, Osama bin Laden was taken off the battlefield.
As a matter of courtesy.
As a matter of courtesy. Well, you write in your book about the rise of ISIS, and that in 2014, when they took the city of Mosul in Iraq, that it took the intelligence community by surprise. It took policymakers by surprise. There was underestimation of how weak the Iraqi government was, and just that ISIS could use the battlefield the way they did, as effectively as they did. Are you saying you see the risk now, with the drawback in Syria, that it appears is still happening, of creating the same kind of vacuum?
We've learned in Afghanistan, in Iraq, and now in Syria repeatedly, that you can't take the pressure off and expect these groups not to reconstitute. They may come back with a different name and a different leader, but the ideology remains and the ambition remains. And so, yes, I think it's very concerning that President Trump made the decision a couple of weeks ago to withdraw our forces from northern Syria, leave the Kurds exposed, essentially enable the Turks to come in from the north and wipe them out of their traditional homeland, and the Russians to come up from the south and claim territory that had been denied to them by our presence and by that of the Kurds. I think this is still very dangerous. We have ISIS that can come back even with new leadership. We have over 100 ISIS prisoners already that have escaped, according to the Secretary of Defense. And this has been a decision that seemingly was taken without consultation by the president with his closest advisors. And it's been hugely beneficial, not only to ISIS, but also to Russia, Iran, and of course Assad, as well as Turkey.
That's why I was pressing the Vice President for some details on those number of forces being left in Syria, because it doesn't seem we have that kind of granular decision-making just
Margaret,
yet.
Just this notion that somehow we're moving a handful of forces out of Syria to be able to send them home. Do the American people understand that since May, President Trump has deployed 14,000 additional U.S. forces to Saudi Arabia and the Gulf at a time when he's saying he wants to take the United States out of the Middle East? This is not on the level.
I want to ask you about something you write about in the book. You know, the public may remember in the wake of the attacks in Benghazi that you were the person put forward by the Obama administration to explain what happened, the information
on that first Sunday, yes.
On that first Sunday on shows like this one. And you say, obviously, that had tremendous political blowback for you, professional, but you revealed for the first time some really personal blowback.
Yeah.
Your daughter
Well,
had to seek medical help because of what happened.
I describe in the book how my 9-year-old daughter at the time, after some weeks of this, very public and sustained pillaring of me, started having what can only be described as hallucinations. And of course, her father and I were terrified. She was seeing men coming out of walls at her. We took her to be evaluated. The doctors at Children's Hospital here in Washington were looking at, is this psychosis? Is it brain tumor? Is it schizophrenia? Is it a vision problem? And they thankfully, after several weeks, were able to rule all of that out and determine that it was a stress reaction to hearing through the television what I was enduring.
Well,
and
a
so
lot
I
of
write
those-
that, Margaret, because I want people to understand that these things have real consequences for those who don't sign up for this.
Those personal details in your book that we mentioned, we have to leave it there.